you just saw.
Yeah. This will look a lot different than most series you will ever see, in fact. Spawning in the top right-hand side, the blue Terran player from Exxon, which I believe was acquired by Psystorm today, MaSa.
You're not wrong. So now they are teammates. They were just discussing this in the lobby chat as well. They're like, wait, are we teammates now? And they're like, yeah, I guess so.
Nice.
In the bottom left-hand side from Psystorm Gaming is the red Zerg player, JonSnow.
I didn't see MaSa mentioned in the announcement, though.
Maybe because he's like retired, so he's just not like listed as an active member. You know what I mean? Like maybe they just listed the active players. Because I actually didn't even know MaSa was on Exxon. If you say Exxon to me, I'm thinking, you know, Nina. I'm thinking Geralt. I'm thinking Max Packs and Special. So yeah, maybe just something along those lines.
This is true. No, actually, yeah. There's a lot of people not listed in the announcement. I guess the announcement just has people who had quotes for it. So yeah. MaSa's definitely in there somewhere.
Okay. Well, we'll all know. This was actually just announced today, literally. So we'll know better for tomorrow, everyone. Don't worry.
For sure.
We'll do our homework tonight and figure out exactly what the deal is. Find out all the ins and outs for everybody.
Hells yeah.
Hells yeah.
Okay, so we have a quick reactor from MaSa. No, yeah, that's already pretty not standard, right? There's no Marine or Reaper first, but rather a reactor. And the gas has continued to be mined, so maybe multiple Reapers here? 2 and then 4? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think he'll go Reapers, right? There should be a factory and then Marine production, and you can hit like 6 Marines, then go Hellion production. And that's kind of like a cool combo, because then you can go for like this Marine Hellion, kind of just, you can drop like some Marines with the Hellions. You don't necessarily need an armory and Hellbats. You can just go like a bit more aggressive, a bit faster in the game. So that's one of the options. There's obviously multiple ways to actually go about this. So we'll see exactly how it goes.
Yeah, so far you're perfectly right, as 2 more Marines get started here on the side of MaSa, and the factory that will most likely be using that add-on in the future. MaSa has continued to mine gas non-stop, I believe, with 3 workers, and now adding a second gas as well, so we expect a starport to be dropped right after the factory, and maybe a medevac to reinforce, or even bring the Marines along to keep up with those aliens.
Yeah, 4 Marines. Looks like he's already moving the racks actually to provide high ground vision to try and snipe down an Overlord, but no success there. Now these Lings are going to be like, oh, well, they came across the map because there was no Reaper, but they probably regret it, because now you just lost all of those guys, and that wasn't so pretty. And now he's going to go Overlord hunting. He's going to find this one off to the right side. Oh, no, he turned it around a moment too soon. Good prediction by JonSnow, who saved himself by moving the Overlord away.
Yeah, and MaSa's hesitation also did not pay off. For a second there, he backed the barracks back into his base and then decided, you know what, I'm gonna go one step further. Probably upon recognizing that he was gonna be able to clear those links. But again, that hesitation also costed him, so JonSnow will get to save his Overlord. Very cool.
Saving the Overlord. Nicely handled, as you're going to see a couple of Hellions are going to run into these new Zerglings on the map, so they're going to start to roast and toast a little bit. Lings continue to run in after those Hellions. Hellions going to try and get away, and they are going to get up the ramp.
Beautiful micro there from JonSnow, twice in a row, kind of knowing that the first Ling in the line is the one that's going to get targeted by the attack moving Hellions, and he turns it to the side. So he only loses 1 Ling instead of, you know, taking a whole lot of damage on a line of Zerglings. So well done by him. Very, very cool.
Yeah, well handled, well done. And now we just continue onward with a fusion core. Oh, just to make this game really, really wonderful. Gonna get a fusion core up and running. The medevac just loaded up. It's coming across the map, and it's just turned into a whole bundle of fun, isn't it? So medevac of Marines, Hellions are here too. JonSnow has 9 Zerglings on the map, and yeah, I mean, it doesn't look pretty for JonSnow right now. His MaSa's even maybe going to get that Overlord, and that would supply block JonSnow. That's going to be even worse for him. It seems like a complete disaster, and all of this is going to lead into the BC showing up to a JonSnow that is basically just unprepared to deal with it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. Yeah, exactly. So if he loses these queens, that's going to become really troublesome really fast for JonSnow. MaSa will save his Marines, but sacrifice 2 of his Zerglings as JonSnow manages to get a cleanup. But still, the real threat is going to be that BC follow-up. There have been no additional Queens started in production for JonSnow, so he has only 5 to work.
Yeah, that was that link surround was pretty sweet in the end. He only had a few links, but they all put themselves to perfect use, and they showed up when they were needed. Good effort, really good effort. Is just going to be seeing more factories meching it up now. MaSa, he was always a guy that would mech sometimes, and okay, I still think I really like this for MaSa because this BC is going to show up. JonSnow's preparation, I mean, he's only building 1 Spore Crawler at the moment, and his Queen count's only at 5 as well, so I feel like he's just a little unprepared for this BC, and then you've got a mech to deal with on the follow-up. I mean, that's going to be tough.
BC in the main now. There's the 1 Spore, but completely out of position. It was actually looking for a potential Liberator. This Queen will stand no chance if MaSa wants to focus fire it, but instead he will aim for drones and will get 3 of them for his troubles, as well as a full evacuation from the main to lose some mining time on the side of JonSnow. On the other side, the Queens were preoccupied with a potential drop of that medevac with a few Marines that survived the earlier attack, and MaSa's gonna get himself a nice handful of drones, 9 total.
Oh, I love the idea of the Lingbane Burst, but because it's mech, he's been rebuilding Hellions, right? So, oh man. No, but what does that matter if they get surrounded? Well, they're going to soak up some of the Baneling shots, so maybe this still can't break through because of the 1 Marine in the bunker. Okay, there are a few more Balins ready to go. The Hellions trying to get them. The bunker goes down. We do have a couple new Hellions showing up. SCVs are going to pull into Lings and Banes. This should be a cleanup right from MaSa, and I mean... this is NA StarCraft, man. I love it.
It really is. You have to love it. I mean, it's looking beautiful so far for this game. There is a second BC as well as Yamato on the way, and that's where it gets extra scary. Not too many Queens have faltered. There is 2 more on the way for JonSnow. He is up to 7. 2 of those will get deleted right away, though.
Yeah, this is the Yamatos obviously just go zap zap and boom, you've lost 2 units. So it's definitely pretty expensive. It's the value of the BCs that you get. You're pretty much guaranteed kills every time they show up. So yeah, gonna start applying pressure with that. I mean, Spire starts now, but how long do you have to deal with these BCs? I guess, I mean, at least a couple teleports worth of BC harassment before those Corruptors are gonna be out.
Yeah, there's actually gonna be a 3rd BC also made on the side of MaSa, as this first one will get to fire his Yamato before getting out of there. He also identifies that there's a couple of Queens with full energy, or very high on energy at least, and the second BC is traveling across the map as well without using his teleport, so that he may teleport back defensively.
Yep, I mean, you've got to, just in case the Spire was any sooner. You don't want to teleport across, cool down on teleport, and then you get cleaned up by units. I mean, then you've just wasted the BC, so... It's very much so better to just kind of play efficiently, make sure the BC will stay alive. Yamato's down the Spore, and now just going to go for a whole bunch of drones before I assume the teleport out will happen.
Yeah, but that's really nice damage. 7 drones total, make it 8. And gets to keep his BCs alive, which is going to force additional units that JonSnow doesn't potentially want to make. So, I mean, Corruptors, they're not going to be particularly good after they clear the BCs. They're going to be very effective at clearing the BCs, but even though that's true, there's 3 BCs out with Yamato, which means 3 Corruptors are likely to get deleted right away. So now you need, however many Corruptors you need plus 3, and that's a huge investment, to be honest. So they better be ready to pee on some stuff after.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's why mech was kind of a thing again, right? Because BCs force these Corruptors, and you're kind of essentially paying the BC tax, right? Where you've got to lose a few Corruptors to Yamatos, and then you've got to keep remaking those Corruptors, because if you don't, the BCs get out of hand. But then you're doomed if you do, because what are the Corruptors actually meant to do? Like fly around after BCs that teleport away? Like there's nothing good they can actually get up to.
Yeah, and if MaSa gets enough Cyclones out, which he just finished the upgrade for, then that becomes even more problematic, because all of a sudden you don't know that your Corruptors are for sure going to even clear the BCs to begin with. So we'll see what happens, as MaSa has done a fantastic job of clearing creep, but might be surrounded yet still on the remaining creep, as these Lynx do a wonderful job of that. But a few of the Hellions will skip on through and will continue to live on to fight another day. So well done on both sides there.
Yeah, nicely handled once again. A planetary on the far right. Oh, there goes the BC tax. 3 Corruptors going down. And the BCs are just going to sit here because the Corruptors weren't all in the bottom right. So they're going to start killing off this hatchery. In a way, they didn't know what to kill. They were like, do we get the Overlord? Do we get the hatchery? Probably should have got the Overlord. Hatchery should be transfusible and savable by those queens, of course. And we're just going to start teleporting out now one at a time. The BCs jump on out of there, get to safety, and we'll just wait for that cooldown to reset.
Excellent point. And yeah, I mean, that was 750 resources gone with those 3 Yamatos, and he picks them off at the best possible time because there wasn't even any Corruptors to just even just put damage onto the BCs to force repairs, right? Like barely one bruised BC, and things are looking pretty good, I want to say, for MaSa, who has otherwise established his 4th already, is keeping up. It's not even keeping up. He's well ahead in economy, and with a very strong mech army to follow against a mostly inefficient or supply inefficient Roach army.
Yeah, everything's kind of pointing towards MaSa right now. I can't believe the coin would do this to me, cats. Unbelievable. Well, it's just game 1. It's not over yet. I mean, we've seen Terrans get into what seem to be amazing positions in this sort of situation, and, you know, mech just flops because you can be out of position, you can be caught off guard. I mean, JonSnow is basically getting ready to pull the trigger as he maxes out here. He shouldn't really be waiting around to, like, draw this game out the way that he's currently playing, I don't think. Like, yeah, he's getting +2 missiles. I feel like that's very much so formality. He's going to come down to this Roach Ravager bust with the Corruptors. If it works, it works, and if it doesn't, the game's probably over.
Yeah, and unfortunately for him, already MaSa has a decent position here with some of those tanks, so he's not going to catch him on siege, at least at that location. And in this instance, at the same time, the BCs now with those cooldowns that you were talking about already reset, are gonna poke into the main, pick off a queen, potentially the Spore again, and a bunch of drones as well for his troubles. The Cyclones still doing a little bit of damage, but will have to be taken care of. This BC may live, it seems. So yeah, very well done by MaSa.
BCs, man. 2 of them just getting out on super low HP. Absolutely crazy, as JonSnow is still just amassing units. It's got to be time to go soon, man. You really can't sit back and wait on this much longer, man.
Yeah, there is 3 tanks in production, so things are gonna get even more difficult for JonSnow on the offense. It looks like he's about ready to go. Lynx are a great choice, as most of the Hellions have been taken care of. And actually, JonSnow carving his way through and into the 3rd base of MaSa, doing quite a little bit of damage here, as the Corruptors are gonna join in to try and kill these BCs. One will go down even before firing the Yamato. The other 2 are not yet ready to fire their Yamato or to teleport that, for that one either. So things are looking decent there for a second for JonSnow.
Yeah, but now the Corruptors getting locked onto by Cyclones. We've got a couple of Hellions counterattacking. They get cleaned up. JonSnow will keep on going forward. How much is too much? Beautiful piles, and that's going to be another dead BC. I mean, obviously, if all the Corruptors go down, that's a shame, but then if there's no BCs left, you don't need them anyway, so it's not that bad. 1 BC remains against a few Corruptors. JonSnow is going to have to back it up, and really, really good effort from JonSnow. I'm just a little worried that Wave 2 might not have quite the same punch that Wave number 1 had.
Yeah, that is going to be a little bit of a problem, but like you said, the BCs have been dealt with. But as I say that, MaSa actually fires up another BC, and this is the power of MaSa. He will do the unexpected. Very nice tank line, and a lot of the units getting choked by their own queens will end up faltering there. Maybe a battle report, because I'm not sure who got the better of that exchange, but I think it was MaSa yet again.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because it never really reset from the last fight, right? So I think overall, just the fact that MaSa's up in work is going to mean that even if it's slightly inefficient, it's all good for MaSa. So yeah, definitely feeling MaSa a little bit at the moment here as we continue on through. We've got units coming across the map. Lings, Roaches chasing down these couple of Cyclones. The BC on the way out, the +3 vehicle plane on the way as well. Those Lings do catch a Cyclone. These Cyclones, though, they're going to put some work in onto these Queens.
Most definitely, as they will get caught off position and outside of creep. Now JonSnow trying to collapse onto the rest of his army, but MaSa has been much more careful about remaking the Hellions this time around. They have Blue Flame as well to work with, so Lynx will be terribly ineffective.
Terribly ineffective as these Cyclones, again, trying to stay locked on whenever they can, whenever they get the chance to. Just seeing this Hellion Cyclone force, again, splitting up, going a few different directions, going a few different ways. Trying to figure out what it can do and where it can get some damage done. Going to run on in towards this bottom right-hand side. Going to get a few drones. Flames coming in for the surround on those Hellions, and they are going to clean on up.
Yeah, interesting prioritizing by those Hellions to clear the 1 creep tumor there. to make it easier to push onto that location. I hope he uses that, because otherwise I feel like he could have just ran into the mineral line and killed a few more workers. JonSnow, however, knowing where the army of MaSa is, will move onto this encroached planetary fortress position and will clear a bunch of tanks there.
Oh, that one BC from before, it's just causing so much pain. I know there's some Corruptors still around, right? I mean, he remade a few, so sad to see that just sat there doing some damage. Is going to get killed off now, I believe. Corruptor's going to deal with it, but yeah, extra drones going down. No, it teleported also. Oh my goodness.
GG,
JonSnow. Just can't keep up with it. Fell behind early, Cats, and honestly, I think he kind of stayed in the game longer than he initially was going to be honest, so. Jeez.
Yeah. It's a rough one, but MaSa looking really, really strong. I love the style of mech that he played. He is so unpredictable, so difficult to deal with. Those BCs, they never work for me, to be honest. When I make BCs in TVC, they just don't work for me. But MaSa did such a good job of playing around his cooldowns and just around that, Yamato, and just teleporting back, and found value like three different times, and that's plenty to pay for those BCs.
Yeah. There's that like Bane Bust as well. Even that was kind of maybe JonSnow staying in the game a bit longer than he should have done, because he was kind of lucky that those Hellions moved out like a couple seconds before the Ling Bane walked up the ramp. Because otherwise he gets no worker kills with that. And then you're even further behind on the back of taking damage at home. So something else to think about to get ourselves ready for game number 2. MaSa leading 1-0. We've got 2,000 atmosphere. It's going to be a bit of a larger map. And actually, I think this map is a bit better for mech in general. So all of a sudden, we're kind of going from a map that people play bio on to a map that some people play mech on, with the guy that just played mech in game number 1.
Which means, of course, that he will play bio because it's MaSa. Yeah, I expect to see some sort of proxy here for MaSa, or it wouldn't be a MaSa series. So he didn't do it in the first game, but this time around he might. And when I say some sort of proxy, you know, most people might think, oh, it's probably going to be like proxy, like, you know, 4-Rax Marine or something of the sorts, but MaSa can really proxy anything. He can proxy anything.
Even in ZVT, you think?
Even in CVT, I could see him doing a proxy Banshee, floating factories. He's always been kind of nasty at doing that. What is that? There was this ice map that had like a little bit of a backyard behind the natural and rocks leading to it. You know what I'm talking about?
King Sejong?
Maybe it was King Sejong. Well, there's definitely King Sejong, which had some similar features. Yeah. I'm thinking of a different one, but along the same lines, because MaSa would also have used proxies on King Sejong Station, because on these maps, I mean, it's rare that we see something sitting behind the natural / main, so maybe the proxies from MaSa won't be quite as crazy as they used to be, but still, I wouldn't put it past them.
I totally know which map you mean as well. It's like it goes around the back of the natural and main.
Yep.
Like from the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Is it called Polar Knight?
I think it is Polar Knight, no?
Yeah, it is. It's got a base behind the natural and the main. Yeah. That's some StarCraft history, that map. You know what that map's most well known for? It's that Hero versus Hyun game that came down to like the last Stalker versus the Mutilist. Crazy game.
Oh, the game that I think of on that map is a Sappy versus Noni game of all things, where Noni played a perfect game. I casted down with Destiny. It was so fun. Either way, we have a pool first, actually, on the side of JonSnow at the top left-hand, right-hand side of this map.
Taking on our blue Terran player. In the bottom left-hand side, it is MaSa.
And I think that JonSnow is thinking along the same lines of what we were thinking about, because I mean, pool first is extremely strong against those potential proxies. And look at the Overlord pathings as well. He is very invested into finding barracks that he's not going to find, because MaSa is actually not doing what you would expect him to do.
Yeah. Oh, look at that result on the screen as well. Disc goes up 1-0 against Nina. Nina's not having a great season so far. If that continues through in Disc's favor, that'd be another upset against her.
Yeah, but Disc has been flying low on most people's radars, but he's one of those NA players that practices a lot. He practices in Europe a lot. I think he gets a lot of respect from Europeans, but hasn't yet had a breakthrough performance that makes you go, yeah, disc, disc is here to advance, or disc is here to make a mark. And I think that this could be his season for that.
Ah, that'd be really cool. I see him. I enjoy watching his games in the Open Cup. He plays the EU Open Cup every week. I always like catching his games because like he's one of those players that has the interest in like round of 32 games because he starts to play the European pros before the EU pros play each other. Yeah. So it's like it's some of the better games in the earlier rounds from him. So it's always fun to jump on it.
Nice guy. He's doing it for you, Wordy.
I mean, he's playing his heart out. He wants to advance. He's getting some experience in practice. I just, it just turns out that his games are the best to cast because they're the most entertaining. And
absolutely, yeah. And he's very good with disruptors. Yeah, I mean, I can see him. I can see him beating Nina. And it was, I think, 3-1 odds for him on as far as the bookies are concerned. So, it's definitely an upset if it happens, but well within the realm of reality.
All right, well, we get set up. Reaper hops up into this main base. Link speed's about halfway done. I'm just going to see that Queen continue to ping away at the Reaper as a grenade goes down. Drones get bopped. And yeah, that's not good. He dead.
Yeah, he dead.
He real dead. No, there's no way, man. There's no way. If that Reaper survived, that would be disgusting.
That would have been disgusting indeed. Right, we see MaSa is going for this is another MaSa special. Banshees are kind of his forte. And we're gonna see a Banshee and Cloak started right away. He has always been very good with these.
Yeah, I kind of like it as well. Switching up a lot from that first game and going for something a bit different, but keeping himself safe just in case JonSnow does crank out the roaches and tries to get aggressive. I feel like he's covering his own, he's just keeping himself safe. He's covering his own back,
Backwards, yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so let's see. There is a third CC here. The depot is lowered, but there is no interest from JonSnow to go inside with his one circling. He will get the information that he needs, as there's also an overlord going into the main of MaSa. I wonder if Cloak will be cancelled as a result, or if a second Banshee will be started, and it's the second Banshee.
Second Banshee coming up. I like it. Just going to be seeing Stimpak on the way as well. So, yep, typical, like you said, mech the first game on the bio map, bio on the mech map. Of course, this is not necessarily a mech map. It's just more mech map than Oxide is. But, playing in that can obviously mind game your opponent a little bit as well. I do like what JonSnow is doing. The faster lair definitely helps against the Cloak Banshees because you'll have the Overseers quickly, so you'll have that mobile detection a little bit faster. Right now, this Banshee's going to show up, and those Queens in a bit of trouble, going to run back. There is a Spore here, but now Hellion's on that mineral line. By the ground units, a few Lings showing up, but yeah, very late. And now Banshees, if they want to run if the Hellions run over to the right and the Queens want to chase, they're going to come out of range of the Spore, so the Banshee gets free damage done, and this is JonSnow taking a heck of a lot of damage.
He really is. It's 5 drones so far and a bunch of Lings as well. These Hellions are causing havoc and JonSnow is having to produce additional units. He now has enough Lings to deal with this, I believe. He has 10 with extra Queens in production. I love that MaSa actually goes with the first Banshee, right? Whereas most Terrans would wait for their second Banshee and try to do something like a multi-prong where the Banshees are one-shotting drones or something like that. MaSa can smell blood in the water. He is very experienced when it comes down to these early attacks. And no doubt he will find a way to make these Banshees work over time as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? You've still, sat in this game looking at, 2 Banshees that can still harass, and it just means that this is really just the beginning of this aggression for MaSa, right? It's only the beginning of drones being lost and damage being taken for JonSnow. I mean, there's only one Queen and a Spore Claw in this main, so that's guaranteed to be a few drones going down, right? A couple on the gas at the very least to get out. You take barely any damage. Goes in, pushes the Queen back, gets that hurt, just makes it a bit tougher to stick around and defend for a later push, maybe. I mean, this is why Banshees are so good in the hands of the top-tier Terrans.
Yeah, at the same time, they're on a little bit of a ticker here, as there is a Spire in production, but they will find a Queen before anything else happens, as the Spore is a little bit out of range, and the Queens overextend a little bit. And again, this is MaSa knowing the limits of his units. It's very difficult to dive Queens with Banshees and know that you will take them down or where the range of vision of the Spore is and so on and so forth. So MaSa doing a wonderful job with these Queens as he situates himself to move into the mid game, and likely we will see a bio tank push, I would imagine, onto this watchtower that the Hellions are holding for now.
Yep, absolutely. Hellions going to take down a Ling or two on the upper left-hand side. We do see Mutas continue to produce. Bane's coming out, Queen on the way. And the problem I have is that now JonSnow is going to these Mutas quickly, but when you open and fast Mutas and you've taken the early damage, you are very susceptible to that 1-1 timing. You're going to be so late on the upgrades. In this scenario, he didn't even start Baneling speed when the lair was done, right? So you're also pretty late on Baneling speed here. So you don't have 1-1 or Bane speed for the first attack. This is going to be so difficult to clean up. You're really just hoping for a decent start to this fight where maybe the Mutas can begin to overwhelm in the skies. But now he's going to try and bait the Mutas to the wrong direction with the Banshees.
Yeah, and now the Mutas are going to be pulled to the right direction, but that will free up the Banshees to go maybe once again into the main, as MaSa should recognize that the Mutas are very much needed in order to hold on this area. So I would like to see the Banshees starting to be moved as the Mutas are shown, and they are on the minimap heading towards, it looks like this general area. MaSa has mostly been cleaned up, and this, oh, lag!
Yep, I see it too.
JonSnow.
Game
paused. Okay, gonna
pause it. Maybe
pause
it's
that
his
up for
cat
them.
again. He said, and I quote, he said at the start of the game, or in the lobby, at the start of the series rather, that he kicked his cat out of the room.
He kicked his cat?
Out of the room. I mean, the out of the room is essential in not misunderstanding that, but yeah. He was bothering him. 1,000 ping. I mean, that's a lot of ping.
I mean, that's a second, right? I mean,
is that how ping works? I have no idea. You've just blown my mind with that.
Is it
really?
But isn't ping like one ping is like based on MS, so it's like a millisecond.
Whoa!
So 1,000 ping means you have a second delay.
Well,
that's what I think at least, right?
I don't know. I don't know. Nate, can you tell us if this is true? I feel like Nate would know. He's just like, what?
What? He's like, oh, I'm not meant to be awake yet. The game's still going on, man.
Is 1,000 ping equivalent to 1 second of time? Is that how that works?
I believe Milla is 1 out of 1. Oh my goodness, they put me on. Now I
oh wow, that's
wrong in front
that's
of
awesome.
everybody.
Yeah, that's important. So you're saying it's 1 second, 1,000 ping. You're confirming Wardy's suspicions.
Something like that, I think. It's going to be roughly around there.
Okay, I'm more confident than Nate
saying that
it's about
not entirely correct.
Yeah, it sounds like Wardy is more confident. So yeah, we'll check. We'll check with the chat here as the game resumes. And here we are. JonSnow is going to lose a few of this Muta, but at the expense of a lot of the army of MaSa. He's going to retain a few Marines and those 2 medevacs. There are no additional Banelings at the moment for JonSnow. He's going to want to morph some of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like he's about to have Bane speed, but there's no Banelings, man. The few Banes at the front morphing. MaSa doesn't quite have enough units, though, so those Marines go down as well, and I feel like that's a shame, because those 5 Marines are way more powerful if they're with these 5 Marines. So actually, MaSa getting a little bit kind of mixed up there, and yeah, that definitely hurts. Just could have been a little bit more effective. I mean, this is meant to be 1-1 against 0-0. I just felt like MaSa was meant to do so much more there. Like in the end, JonSnow actually cleans this up pretty aptly.
Yeah, not all of his reinforcements were there in time. One thing that MaSa did get from the pause, and this is JonSnow's pause, so it's all on him, is that he rerouted the Banshees right after the pause, right? So he actually got to JonSnow's base, whereas before the Banshees were seemingly headed towards the rest of his army, which is the easier thing to do in the midst of chaos. So MaSa, reorganizing his thoughts there for a second, was able to click the Banshees back into the main of JonSnow, and he's doing the same thing again, looking for another little bit of a poke. A lot of the links engaging before the Mutas arrive will actually net MaSa a lot of kills onto the ground army, but now the air army is strong enough to clean up, and MaSa has to run back to his own third.
Yeah, I feel like MaSa's getting a little bit too over-eager, and like almost rightfully so. Like, I agree, he should be able to be like pushing in and doing damage, but then it's clearly not working for him, and now he's going to lose a bunch of SCVs over here, and JonSnow going to jump in for 11 workers. It just feels like MaSa should never have... I don't even know what went wrong for him. Like, I feel like he just was a bit overconfident, overcommitted a couple times too many, And just never really had anything more than one siege tank in any of these fights as well. But it wasn't even like there was a high baneling count. It was just Ling Muta most of the time against Marines, and it still worked.
Yeah, to be honest, I do love Ling Muta against tank-heavy compositions because the tanks will do well against the banelings oftentimes, and otherwise against Lings, they will splash their own units. So if you are heavy enough on Muta, the Muta can prevail in the air with the tank fire helping against those Marines whilst killing the Zerglings. So I don't dislike it. Also, obviously, you get more gas to invest into those Muta from not making the banelings. So it was kind of cool from JonSnow. It's gonna end up working out. Tank popped out at some point, and it wishes that it was a Thor, however. So, yeah, it's looking very, very dire for MaSa at this point.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is JonSnow just absolutely capitalizing, going to clean this up. Just no recovery as MaSa just gave up too many units, and I feel like this is a game you look back on and you're just like, how? Like, he had 1-1, he had so much damage early, against 0-0, no baneling speed, and it just went so wrong for him. I mean, honestly, even if like JonSnow cleaned up, I was like, well, surely MaSa's fine. Nope, just completely dies. And JonSnow will continue through. Widowmine pops out to try and be the savior, but I mean, the damage is of course already done.
Yeah, this game is all but over. And yeah, it's just the closing minutes, but I mean, that's how we get the right predictions, is by it going to the third game, right? We need a 2-1 either way, so either you or I will have had a great day of predictions by the end of the next one.
Well, mine all comes down to the fortune of the coin, man. So, you know, I don't know how much credit I want to take for that.
Yeah. And at some point there, Wardy, you were also talking about how NASA is getting a little bit overeager, and all I could think about was Mars. But then I'm like, isn't that SpaceX? Oh, Wardy. We'll go to a quick break, and we'll be right back with the final game for the day. This is the final time we get to welcome you back as we are about to start the final game of today for this North America portion of DreamHack Masters Summer. My name is Katz. I am joined by my good friend Wardy, and we are headed on to Romanticide for this final battle.
Yeah, really fun series with the Mac into the bio game, and then, like I say, I don't think JonSnow should have won that game. I'll stand by it, but yeah, able to make it work out for himself. We kick this off down to the bottom right-hand side. Storm Gaming teammates in this series, the bottom right red Zerg is JonSnow.
And in the top left-hand side, of course, for Exxon, or now Storm Gaming, it is MaSa. Before the day ends, of course, we gotta get in a quick shout out to our wonderful observer, Niall, for all of the action that he's always catching. Thank you very much, my friend. And now we get back to trying to find something else to talk about during this early game.
Tell you what you didn't catch, Cats.
Tell me.
The invisible medevac on Blackburn.
Niall.
Too invisible for the observer, wasn't it?
A little bit too invisible for him, unfortunately. Jonathan Snow, once again, I mean,
drone.
Yeah, he should. Because this is the thing about MaSa, is he will probably proxy one time in a series at least, and he hasn't proxied yet. I actually had a show of sorts at one point on YouTube I called The Breakdown, and I would invite players to talk about their thought processes. And the episode with MaSa was one of my favorites because he is just such a funny guy. He's so intuitive, but a lot of his plans are just like about making his opponent doubt themselves and about making his opponent just not know what's happening. Like, he really plans for you not knowing what to expect. And it was a similar situation in the game that we analyzed. There was a series against Scarlet, who MaSa actually all-time has an advantage over, believe it or not. And it was about him not proxying 3 times in a row. So he was like, yeah, in this game, it was the 3rd time that I didn't proxy in a row, so I was sure that she was gonna think that I was proxying, and this is what I did. So, yeah, MaSa is quite something.
I mean, it really takes a while to build your reputation up to the point where people, after 2 games, are like, this is it. This has to be the proxy.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, JonSnow is still out there looking for the proxies with Surfing now. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he can't believe it. It's MaSa, and there hasn't been a proxy. I mean, there's technically kind of a proxy, I guess, at this point in that bunker. Yeah.
It's an interesting place to bunker because obviously now you take the 3rd out the front. That's kind of where most Zergs like to take the 3rd base anyway.
Yeah, at the same time, I mean, MaSa is so hyper-aggressive that maybe he can do something to punish that 3rd at the front, whereas most Terran players would just sit back, take their own 3rd. MaSa could do something.
This opening is looking similar to before as well, where it's that Marine count into Hellion production. Starport on the way, so I'd imagine we're going to see like a bit of a Marine Hellion opening, same as last time. Hopefully JonSnow can defend it a little bit better, because I don't think he wants to fall into the position he was in last time around, and my goodness, that is a very quick lap.
Yes, indeed. Very, very fast. We'll see what JonSnow has planned here. Maybe somewhat of a Nidus or something like that. And I love, by the way, the bunker over the eBay. If anyone was thinking, why should I make a bunker over an eBay, for example, and not finish the eBay? I mean, the bunker can salvage itself, so you gain the exact same amount of resources, I think, in return as you would for a cancel. But more importantly, when it's finished, it gets the extra 1 armor. So that's pretty cool because it, withstands a little bit better against her.
Those couple queens say goodbye to those Hellions. Let's just have an armory on the way and a fusion core. Amazing.
20% chance that he cancels after it's spotted. If it's spotted, will it be spotted?
Yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah.
Was it spotted?
Well, he didn't spot the fusion core, but he saw the armory. Looks like he will keep the armory anyway. I was kind of down from like canceling the armory and then just being like, no hellbats, but I'm BCing you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, canceling the armory is a little bit sketch because you want it later for the upgrades as well. But I mean, JonSnow will be ready for this Hellbats, even drops a Spine Crawler. But the BC will still be a surprise, which is potentially good for MaSa, who is kind of going for this build for the 2nd time in the series, right?
He didn't do this quite the same when he went BC the first time, right?
Okay.
I think it was a little bit different when he went BC the first time.
Right, well,
but yeah, these Hellbats Marines show up and they're going to go for that spine before it's done. So already doing some good damage. Banelings are only just now morphing in cats, and that is a long time to wait for Banelings. And of course, MaSa saw it as well, so he's going to start jumping on them, target fire those down. It does at least give the Queen some time to deal damage here, but the Medevac's not being targeted, so there's so much energy on that that's going into healing, and that's making such a huge difference.
Absolutely gigantic. Very good trades. The Marines are still standing and a lot of Queens being taken down. Remember, that will be essential to the success of the coming battle cruiser. The Medevac will even survive. Beautiful job there by MaSa, who might have to actually load this to Hellbats.
Yeah, was it not the Hellions and the Marines when the BC came around the first time? Oh, am I crazy?
It was. Yeah, I think it was Hellions instead of Hell. Now, talk about crazy. Do not. Please do not.
Oh yeah,
he is insane. The madman.
The 14 HP Medevac, man. Yeah, that's gonna do loads, isn't it?
Just really looking for that angle.
Good news with JonSnow is he did go for a Spire because it was a super early flare, right? So while he was maybe a bit underprepared against the initial Hellbats, he's gonna have mutas so quickly that maybe they should be able to turn around the BC. He's kind of struggling for minerals. See what the BC does if it wants to teleport across. If it teleports across, it might be in trouble.
He really wants to get value out of this Medevac, MaSa, as he is gonna now go into the main with it. He's gonna find a few Circlings and a couple of Banelings there. So he will get cleaned up there. At the same time, finds a Queen down on the low ground, and one of the mutas will be revealed. There's 2 mutas only, but with 7 more on the way. And MaSa didn't teleport the BC this time around, which means the mutas, like you said, should be able to push it back.
They miss it for now, though, so mutas are going to be a little bit out of position. This works 2 ways, though, because now there's nothing to defend against the mutas apart from turrets that are still building. So the BCs are usually pretty good against the mutas defensively, but obviously now the BC isn't at home, so it's a bit of a confusing situation. He flies the BC into an undefended natural, no spore, just 1 Queen. And yeah, now the mutas are like, whoa, time to pull ourselves back home, but this is all drone damage, and of course this BC never dies in this scenario. This BC teleports the heck out of here, so you know that this is good for MaSa for sure. He's going to get this Queen and probably just be gone. No reason to stick around longer than that. No reason to repair more HP than necessary.
Yes, indeed. 6 workers will go down, as well as deflecting those muta, pushing them all the way back into JonSnow side of the map. And remember that JonSnow went for that lair so very quickly that he doesn't really have much economy to fall back on. He's only 2 workers ahead of MaSa, so definitely not ideal. And BCs, like you mentioned, they're actually pretty good against muta defensively.
Yeah, but these couple Cyclones get a lock onto those mutas, and they are just going to get 2 of them, so that's a great start as well. Love the Widow Mines as well. A bit of a quick answer to mutas when you maybe not immediately prepared for them.
Yes, indeed. And everything is looking really good for MaSa. I also like the fact that he opened with those Marines, but now is going into mechas. He never really got upgrades for them, so, you know, they were always disposable in that first attack. JonSnow now taking a 4th base. But I mean, the one mech game for MaSa was quite clean. It looked really strong, and we're headed back into that direction.
Yes, we are. Those 3 mutas going to go around the left-hand side. A single Zergling coming across. Join up with them. Again, mutas just looking for some openings, but so the battle cruisers, and again, it's just so frustrating because every single time they attack, they're almost guaranteed to do some damage. And it's just so frustrating to have to deal with that again and again and again.
Yeah, 2 Yamatos will go off on this muta. Now they're going to try to capitalize onto the BCs, but instead 2 of them will quickly fall. These are expensive units, the Mutalisks. 3 of them make it. This BC might want to get out, but I mean, MaSa is really getting as much juice out of this as he possibly can. The BC now being targeted. Does he have a teleport available? He does, and he will get out. Wow, this is getting out of control.
It is getting out of control. The base has to rebuild. The mutas are still taking some damage. More drones are going down. Teleports away again. And this is all just damage that racks up over time and puts MaSa into such a good position.
Yes, indeed. 12 kills on one of the BCs, 6 on the other. And it is high-impact kills. These are not Circlings. These are mostly drones and some Queens and some mutas really mixed in there. So a lot of value. The units lost tab will show a 3,000 resource difference only 10 minutes in.
Yep. That's pretty crazy. That's a lot of, especially when you're playing against mech as well, right? It's just so much efficiency so early on. And, well, JonSnow, he didn't have the greatest start against the mech last time, and he still made a game of it. The problem is Romanticide has got to be one of the tougher maps to then play a similar sort of style as what he did earlier, right? You know, if he wants to try and bust, like Romanticide just ain't the map for that. So then what do? Do you try to play a longer game from here, from this kind of deficit early on? I don't really think so. He's on 69 drones, which is 10 workers less than MaSa, and he is just building units, so it looks like he will just try and go for this, I guess, but I'm not confident. I'm really not.
Yeah, me neither. I would almost like to see, I mean, it's very tough from this position because he's definitely behind, so there's no right clear-cut answer that will win him a game. But on Romanticide in general and against mech, I would have liked to see him try something like Swarm Hosts to just kind of push out on the map and take advantage of all these unpathable terrain to move from one base to the other, kind of use it against his opponent. Instead, it's gonna be the classic mech, but it actually moves onto a bunch of Roach Ravagers unexpectedly. So JonSnow was getting ready for his own attack, and MaSa's gonna push right into it, and now things might be complicated for the Canadian.
I'm shocked because, I mean, he's just doing exactly what he did in the first game, JonSnow, so it's not like it should be such a surprise to MaSa, right? Oh no, I mean, here we go, pushing through. There's only a couple of tanks really in any sort of safer position. They all go down, and MaSa's army is being absolutely crushed as JonSnow will just keep on pushing forward. Again, it was, I mean, this was just MaSa being reckless, careless, lack of information, just almost being, you know, almost believing that you just can't lose the game, right? Just moving forward without a care in the world and just getting completely punished for it. This game just falls apart so quickly.